Welcome back to Lost Legacies. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam.
Uh, if there's audio issues or whatever, or you can't hear me, apologies, listeners. I'm not feeling too hot today. I don't know if it's the weather or allergies or what, but Texas is always trying to kill us. So, um, yeah. So I think we're just gonna get into this episode, dude. Because I do have stuff I want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it until after we talk about this episode.
Ooh, okay.
So let's just dive in, everyone. We're talking about Dark, Season 2, Episode 3, Ghosts. Helgi returns, Claudia is betrayed, and Egon starts to figure everything out. It's crazy, man. Like, I feel like, especially compared to Season 1, like, things are flying, you know? We're making progress.
Yeah.
So what was y'all's thoughts for this week's episode?
Wild turn of events. I really liked how this one was sort of more of like almost like a single character focus, and we didn't realize it, until about like halfway when you're like, oh wow, like a lot of this is just pertaining to Claudia.
Yeah, it's Claudia at different at different points in time,
And like even if she's not embroiled in like the time travel of it all, like she's still kind of like a centerpiece for the whole episode, because and I'm thinking of like that like final conversation that young Claudia has with her dad. But yeah, just yeah, the whole episode, it was really cool to just kind of focus on how one character has such an impact throughout other people's lives across time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't go anywhere in the future this time.
No, we didn't.
Oh, hey, is this the first episode without Jonas?
I think so.
I don't think we've ever had one without him.
Well, no.
He showed up like once or twice, like maybe like once in an episode, but
I think last season when we went to like the 20s or the 30s, the 1930s, I think that was one of the first episodes we didn't have Jonah. Well, no, because he's also not in the one where Mikhail is in the 80s.
Maybe, I don't know, because a lot of the episodes end with montages, and one of those, I think the one in the 80s, it ends by showing where everyone is in modern day.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
So I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's been in every episode, even if it's just for a little bit. I could be wrong. So I don't know. But yeah, this is interesting. So again, no future. So
well, especially because last episode ends with him going through
leaving. Yeah,
going through the portal in the future. So yeah.
So who knows where he's at? But so now this is kind of like
when he's at.
When is he at? Yeah. This episode kind of, it's really interesting because it's kind of like an origin story while also being like the final story of Claudia. Because we've seen her and we've seen her come in and out of the show, but this is her really like starting to time travel. She learned about it in the last episode, and now it's like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, man, it's crazy. Especially, we had a really good scene with her and Regina back in the 80s where, she's just telling her, she's like, I really like the way you do your hair now. And like neither of them know how to communicate their feelings, and Claudia gives the hug. And then we end the episode essentially with her, Claudia, in modern day, seeing Regina going through chemo cancer, after she also learns this episode that her dad, Egon, has cancer.
Yeah.
So what a wild day for her.
Yeah. Man,
You know what I'm thinking? I'm trying because I never remember the date. Is this taking place in 2020?
I think now it is.
I think it is, right?
Yeah, yeah, because
It's like the summer or something.
yeah, yeah, last season was 2019.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, nuts.
Yeah.
They don't have COVID in dark. They have a lot of other things to deal with though.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think it balances out.
yeah, I guess. Oh man. Um there's a lot of things kind of came back this episode. Adam came back, the creepy Bond
Mhm.
villain.
Mhm.
Um yeah, man, I don't know. It was really well done. Uh it definitely was. This show is just so cool, because it really was Claudia's episode. And like now once the episode's over and you look back in hindsight, you could kind of see how older Claudia was kind of going through just getting a lot of things done. She knew how that day was going to end,
Mhm.
so she's doing she's like checking off the list of things she needs to get done, things she needs to talk to, pieces she needs to put in place. She goes back to talk to her father just because he's there. That was really the only scene where like we didn't need that.
Yeah.
She didn't really do anything with that. She just wanted to see him. And I was like, "Oh man,
Mhm.
what a scene." And then after that, he's talking to his daughter.
Yeah.
She's young. I'm like, "Oh." And she says the exact same thing to him.
Yeah.
You're what? Like you're a good man. You
Like
don't
you're too good for this world
You're too
or
good for this
something like
world.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't deserve any of this. And he's just like, what? And he was just telling her about the quote unquote witch he met,
Mhm.
who has the heterochromia that she has.
Mhm.
And now she says the exact same thing. He's like, what? What?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like that's just such a I love I love in like time travel stories where there's always a person who's just like not involved, or who doesn't know that time travel is a thing, but then slowly kind of starts seeing its like after effects,
Hmm.
or like the things that are sort of caught up in it. I don't know. I just like that idea of like just an ordinary guy
Yeah.
who slowly starts to see that the world is extraordinary, you
Well,
know?
I was gonna say that's the opposite. Like, I don't see characters like that in time travel stories. It's usually the main one experiencing time travel, and then like the companions, whether it's Doctor Who or like in Back to the Future, technically Doc Brown would be like a companion because he doesn't know Marty's the time traveler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So, so yeah, like I don't know, like it's really cool in this episode to see Egon. It took him decades, but he's the normal guy who's figuring it out on his own.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool. It took forever because now he has kind of like the broader view of it,
Hmm.
and the everything's falling into place. But I'm like, oh man, like this is rad,
Hmm.
man. He was so proud of himself too. Like when he gets that record and he finds the lyrics, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. And he's like, so yeah, man. I don't. It's crazy. I like Egon, man. And you can empathize with younger Egon, as far as like he just doesn't know what's going on. He's trying, you know,
Hmm.
but also they're not very good cops, even for that time.
Yeah.
Uh, and now you feel bad for him because now he's older, he's dying, and like he is finding out. He's like, man, maybe I am a fool. A fool. I don't know anything, but
Hmm.
that's leading him closer and closer to the truth.
Yeah.
So, and poor Ulrich, man, kind of what you said last week. His son has been there the whole time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like,
Hmm. Yeah, he even tells Egon that when he shows him the picture and he's just like he loses it,
Yeah.
you know? It's like, man, like that sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks.
We also didn't see any of the kids. It was really focused on the adults. Did we see Charlotte this episode?
Nope.
No, right? It was pretty much Claudia based.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. Um we did find out though Noah has a sister,
Mm-hmm.
Agnes Nielsen.
Yep.
So that's Tronte's mom. So Noah would be Tronte's uncle.
Mm-hmm.
So Noah would be I don't even know, like Ulrich's great uncle. Is that a thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Which means he's
Mikhail's.
Jonas's. Well, yeah, because
So he would be Mikhail's great great uncle.
which means he's Jonas's great 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 uncle,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
how that works?
I
Man,
I don't
I
know.
knew it. I knew it. Just one. This is just like Star Wars. Just one or two freaking bloodlines screwing up the whole
That's
galaxy.
true, but with Star Wars, it's like that just sucks, you know? But when it comes to time travel, that makes it so cool. Cause you're like, wait a second, you're actually putting it together. You're like,
It's cool when you're putting it together and piecing it out, doing
well,
doing the murder board
yeah.
and all
And
that. But if you're living through it, then it's a nightmare.
but it's like what I mentioned last week of how like so far it looks like they're putting all our characters into two camps. You're either just like a victim of time travel, or you are so ingrained into like the time travel. You're still a victim, but you're it's almost like fate,
Yeah.
So that just ties everything even further. Ulrich, Mikhail, Jonas, like they're not just random victims of time travel like we had thought. It's like,
Mm,
okay, now we're talking about like bloodlines here.
yeah.
Because if they're related to Noah distantly, it's like it's like they mention a lot. It's like the loop, the never ending loop. You
Hmm.
know, how far back does it go?
Yeah.
How can you even hope to change any of it when it's your blood is so ingrained into this time travel, this
Yeah.
time loop?
I don't know. I don't
Uh,
know.
old Claudia did say something. I forgot who she's talking to. It might be Agnes, but she says something to the fact that uh Adam and his people are trying to change things. I think that's what she says. But she says one day this will all be over until oh no, she says Adam and them, they're trying to start the next loop,
Cycle.
the next cycle, that's the word.
Hmm.
It's like one day this will all be over. Until then, everything must remain the same.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, all right. Interesting. So Claudia's trying to, it's like she's trying to preserve the timeline.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way.
So Noah and his crew are trying to change it or control it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Speaking of Agnes, we find out that she's in league with Claudia. Uh. Because Claudia is obviously telling her all this information, and then we talk about speeding through storylines. We're just like, hey, we also find out that Agnes is trying to get back into the Sigmundus cult.
Yeah.
you know she was excommunicated or whatever, and then chose to align herself with Claudia, all these things, and she's trying to get back into the fold, and she's the one who points Noah to Claudia.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
the missing
so
pages. She says
yeah,
she has the missing pages on her.
yeah, for the missing pages, which leads us to Noah uh confronting old Claudia, where we learn he was a pupil of her
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
before he got corrupted or something. I'm telling you, this is German Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
We got masters and apprentices coming after each other, all of this stuff. And then he kills her. Woo, in a shotgun blast.
Oh, it was brutal, dude. She just flew
Yeah.
back. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't, it's just one and done. Doesn't need
Yeah.
to double tap anything. And he finds the pages, but he's all, he's freaking out. He doesn't know, like he can't make heads or tails of it. And then he says, Charlotte?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's Charlotte.
And then that leads us to him talking to Adam, who's talking about, like we have to stay strong, like this is gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. And Noah lies when Adam asks if Claudia had the pages,
Uh-huh.
and Noah shakes his head no. And
Yeah.
he looks like on edge. He's like on the verge of
Uh-huh.
breaking down, like he's about to cry, like he's trying to keep it together, and he can't even speak. He just shakes his head no. I'm like, man, I don't know what he learned in those final pages,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be wild.
Oh man.
Man,
Yeah.
man, what a show,
So
man.
cool because like up to this point he's been like the main antagonist of the show.
Yeah.
And now they're teasing Adam, who's like above him. And now we're teasing something. Now we see him lying to Adam. So I'm like, okay,
hmm
what's happening? Oh
hmm
man, dude, I know. It's just all one
Now,
big family, dude.
yeah. Now, but then, speaking of, we had a theory, but the theory doesn't really go beyond just this initial idea.
Uh-huh.
But Kat and I were talking about it, and we were just saying, like, do you think Adam is somebody we've already seen?
That could be it could be anyone. You know,
Exactly.
because when
Exactly.
we again, this is like 3 episodes in a row. We've talked about the way they use scars.
hmm
Um, we haven't seen anyone else with scars like that, but something like that, I feel like it's easy to give them. You know,
Yeah.
okay, we'll figure out how this person gets scarred, or well, the girl from the future. We haven't seen, she's young, she's maybe teens, early 20s, so it's like,
hmm
okay, we haven't seen anyone else with that scar, so I don't think we've met her yet, like
Yeah.
somewhere else in time.
Yeah.
But Adam, who's, I can't tell how old he is, but he seems old.
hmm
It's like, okay, you can turn that into any character,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm scared.
Yeah. Oh man. Hmm. I'm trying to think. This was now that we're talking about it, it's like, wow, there wasn't like we kind of covered everything. It was a great episode and it was a long episode, but still,
Yeah.
like it was just one or two storylines that were going. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
cool.
We kind of we kind of just get like everything else does feel a little like like, well, not supplemental, but like it just kind of is filling out like the details,
Yeah. Well,
like
filling out the details while also keeping the story going, because like there,
yeah.
all the Egon stuff in the past. There's a lot going on that like it's just that feels like it's kind of just filling out the character. Oh, we didn't even mention Egon's wife is in some kind of sexual relationship with Agnes.
hmm
And like I think he's starting to figure it out by the end of the episode.
By the end of the episode, he's starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
Claudia probably already suspects or knows,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Damn.
Um,
Agnes.
mhm.
Time traveler, maybe. It's going around sleeping everywhere with everyone.
You can't do that.
Can't do that.
Come
Butterfly
on.
effect.
hmm You sleep with one
Huh.
person and then the Eiffel Tower never gets made, you know?
right? But this is also interesting because she's been very secretive about her past. And
Yeah.
Tronte has told Claudia how his dad would like was always angry, and then we've seen like the cigarette burns he had and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So so whereas first we're like, huh, I wonder if that's gonna be a thing. Now it's like, okay, I feel like this is gonna be a thing.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
where did they come from?
Yeah.
Um yeah, man. Um so it's so wild to see the Nielsen's and what's Egon's? The Tiedemans are actually so uh connected
Yeah.
because all of season one, Egon was going after teenage Ulrich, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh man. So if you think about that, Egon, who knows what happens? Maybe he does figure it out, you know, but about Agnes and his wife. And like
Hmm.
Ulrich would be the grandson of Agnes,
Yeah.
the woman who stole his wife? Question mark.
Question mark.
You know, so that just adds another layer to Egon's character and motivation. You know, like why does
Hmm.
he hate this kid so much? I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we already saw Tronte and Claudia last season were having a thing.
Hmm.
I don't know if Egon knows about that or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
See,
know.
and this just goes back to what we were talking about of like the infidelity. Is something happening? Is the introduction of time travel somehow decaying like the timeline, the world? Because it just seems like there's infidelity everywhere. There's
Hmm.
secrets and lies everywhere.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's the thing that we were talking about last week where it's like there's some sort of um like radiation or there's some what's there's a
Fallout
the
or
fallout. Yes,
okay.
yes, yeah, there's some sort of fallout that has to be happening, where it's like, we're having these different people throughout time in these, very similar situations or conversations or
Mm-hmm.
circumstances. Yeah, we have infidelity throughout, these timelines.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen much of the future. Like maybe there's something there too. We don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but even then, like like different like conversations that people have, that just it feels like the idea echoes throughout, like Helgi
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning. That's how we start, Noah strapping him into the Sigmundus version of the time machine, which is that creepy
Yeah.
chair.
It's kind of like
And
it's the chair in almost like a chamber. Like
yeah, I don't, yeah, almost like an Iron Maiden in a
mm-hmm.
way. And then, but
I
he's,
didn't hear.
yes, yes, guitar.
Whoa, what was that?
There you go. I unplugged my mic for a second.
Oh, oh no. Sam's been replaced by AI.
Beep boop. My name is Sam.
Hey, did you hear about Nightshade?
Yeah,
I'm gonna Nightshade you just to be safe.
please. I would advise against that. I would very much not like. Ha ha.
Hmm.
Ha
Listeners,
ha.
go Google Nightshade and how it pertains to the whole AI discussion. It's actually it surprised me and it's pretty cool. It's gonna
Yeah.
be interesting to see what happens next.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, air guitar break.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but Noah's talking, to Helgi about how, you know, like time chooses us, in a way, like
Yeah.
really like laying it on thick for this kid that like he's special, he's important.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh, and he tells his mom too. He's like, he's a
hmm.
miracle. Don't you forget that. I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
dude, put her in her place.
Put her in her place. She's creepy. She
She's
creeps me
creepy, and
out.
I'm pretty sure she just wants to jump on Noah, man.
No, for
Like,
sure.
right? I was like, dude, especially when Helgi like starts talking again. She's like,
Mm-hmm.
she's the type of woman who like, well, I shouldn't say woman. She's just the type of person who you could see like her faith or her like obsessiveness. I don't know, something like that. But you could see her being led down into like the cult path.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's just so adamant and like die hard. She could easily be led down into the cult path. Noah
Yeah.
could have gained another follower, and he's like, "I got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you do your part. You raise this kid."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hmm,
But then all the stuff that he's imparted to little Helgi, older Helgi is telling Claudia, because she's talking about, the journey through time, the timey-wimey book.
yeah,
And he and it but it's a thing that he's just repeating, and we start to see now that like this is I think this is just how Helgi is for the rest of his life. He's repeating conversations
yeah.
that he's had throughout his life,
He
just
has
out of
no,
order. He has no
yeah.
context.
He has no context, no
Sense of,
sense of identity,
yeah,
and he just becomes like all these things he's been told.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. It just, God, it's just so sad, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah.
And so this is interesting because Noah's the one doing it. Older Helgi or middle aged Helgi even tells Claudia, "Don't trust Noah,"
Mm-hmm.
and she hasn't met Noah yet. But we find out
Mm-hmm.
at some point she mentors him.
Mm-hmm.
So, one, what's going on? Two, who's in the wrong here? You know, older Claudia sounds like she's trying to preserve the timeline. She's trying to make sure everything happens the way it's supposed to. So, does all this crap we've been going through in this show so far, is it because of Claudia? Even though we see Noah pulling strings?
I don't know. I
Because he's
mean,
the one who's supposedly trying to change it to control it.
yeah.
I don't know, man.
I mean, there's again, they talk about it this episode. They talk about the bootstrap
Yeah.
paradox,
Yes, they do.
where a piece of information is learned, but it has no point of origin.
Right.
It's just a thing that exists, and it's passing through time,
Yeah.
with no origin point. And maybe it could be a thing of like, because Claudia 1980s Claudia is just now learning about all this. She goes to Tannhaus, who tells her all of
Yeah.
this stuff that he didn't learn until older Claudia talked to him in the past, and then
Hmm.
older Jonas came. All of these things. Uh, it could be so, like, all this information is just being passed through. There's no original point.
Hmm.
It could be a thing where Claudia, at some point in her journey, finding Noah, finding this other person, it could be a thing of her trying to like fight
Mm.
that predetermination.
Hmm.
Say that, like, I
Kind
know
of
that
like,
this man is an enemy in the future, or at
yeah.
some point in time, if I can get to him now
Yeah.
and mentor him and change him, then we don't have to worry about that. That feels like a very young young
Yeah.
adventurer sort of mentality.
Yeah. And she ends up like inadvertently creating Noah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Or at
Um,
least like putting him on the path, if she
right.
doesn't outright
And
create
that was
him.
so
Yeah.
cool because we get the scene of old Tannhaus meeting old Claudia, and they have the
Hmm.
discussion, and he has the whole thing, and that's cool. And then a few minutes go by, and we see the younger Tannhaus meeting old Claudia, and I'm
Hmm.
like, and no, meeting regular '80s Claudia, right?
Uh, uh, no. opposite because older Tannhaus meets 80s Claudia, younger Tannhaus meets future
That's
Claudia.
yes, there we go. It's just so
Yeah.
cool that we got both of those scenes in the same episode. Because I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I guess he met her at a different point in time in his past. We'll see
Hmm.
that at some point. And they did it in this episode. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
cool, 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 cool.
I think especially because this is an 8 episode season, like they're just like, hey, we
I think
gotta,
that's why things are flying,
yeah, we
you
gotta we
know.
gotta step up, the how information's getting disseminated and all that.
Yeah. Also, like, it's kind of curious because like we haven't seen Martha in like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, we saw a little bit of Magnus and Francesca last time,
Yeah.
but so it's kind of interesting, like who they're choosing to focus on which episodes. You know, it's like different puzzle pieces, and instead of like season one where I felt like we're just going to move them all the story pieces together slowly. This one's like, no, each episode we're going to focus down on something and progress
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
why, again, we don't have Jonas this episode.
Yeah.
So,
To use your puzzle analogy, uh even if this is an entire painted black puzzle,
mhm.
last season, you're absolutely right. It's like we're slowly pushing everybody's story together, so it's kind of starting to fit together. This, it's like, here, we're gonna do like an entire corner of
Yeah,
the
we're going to find the
puzzle.
borders. Let's do the borders
Yeah,
first.
yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
borders, we're doing corners and edges and all that, and then we'll figure out the heart of it later.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
and just with this one character, we've already tied so many things together. With
yeah.
Claudia, because she connects to Regina, who connects to Alexander and Bartosz. And then Claudia also connects to Egon, who connects to Ulrich, who connects to
Hmm.
Mikhail. So it's like it's really interesting how like Jonas season one, it was really Jonas and Ulrich were the leads.
Hmm.
Claudia was definitely on the sidelines doing this
Yeah.
thing. But just after this episode, it's like, dude, like Claudia, if you think about it, she should be the lead because she's connected to all the different storylines, which is
Hmm.
really interesting.
Hmm.
So, but we get her as the old character coming in and out of the series so far. So it's kind of like seeing like this is the episode where we get Gandalf's backstory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Master Splinter's story. It's like this side mentor character who's finally you're getting to see things revealed. Like, okay, cool.
Hmm.
Um, and we do know that she knows about the apocalypse because Jonas has her tapes. So at some point,
Mm.
oh, and if you think about it, she is in modern day now
Yeah.
because she saw Regina.
Hmm.
Um, and what was it, 5 days to the apocalypse? I think in this episode, or four,
I,
something like that.
4.
Four. Ooh.
Man.
Running out of time. So speaking of running out of time, MVPs.
Ooh, already. Man, you know what? I just gotta say, Claudia.
Yeah. Same here. Her.
Every version of Claudia.
So let's see. Man, I'm not going to say these names properly. Young Claudia is portrayed by Gwendolyn Gobel. Middle-aged Claudia is Yulika Jenkins. And older Claudia is Lisa Kreuzer. I apologize,
We're
but I
sorry.
wanted to try. But yeah, for sure, all three of them. All three Claudias.
Hmm.
So, what are your predictions at this point?
Oof. Well, like I said, I think uh uh Claudia is gonna try and like mentor Noah,
Mm-hmm.
to like stave him off of his, evil path, but he's we already know, like, this is just how it is with time travel. Some things are predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
Um I think that Charlotte is related to Noah in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially because we don't know where we don't know who her parents were.
We don't know. Yeah,
That's what
we
they
don't know
mentioned
who.
last week.
Yeah, we don't know who her parents are. And
Mm-hmm.
Tannhaus, it says that he's like her grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
but that might
But
not be
that might not be
true.
true. But he also has
Yeah,
the picture of Sigmundus with Noah in it.
yeah, yeah. So,
How
you
the
know,
turntables.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure everything will be answered next week when we talk about Dark Season 2, Episode 4, The Travelers, in
Ooh.
which Jonas meets an ominous figure. Magnus and Martha start their investigation, and multiple parties investigating Winden begin to cross paths.
Ooh.
All next week
Interesting.
on Dark. Now, let's get to what I wanted to talk about. Oh, crap.
To hell with the episode.
To
To hell
hell
with
with to
with
hell
the
with
main
Dark.
thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is what everyone's really here for.
So this was episode 3 of season 2 of Dark.
Hmm.
In total, that makes this episode 13 of Dark,
Hmm.
which means we are now officially halfway through Dark.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yep, we're halfway
Are,
done, man.
are there only 13 more episodes?
There's only 13 more episodes.
What?
Yep.
Don't tell me that.
Yep.
Why are you telling me that? No.
Yep. I just counted on my fingers. There's only 13. So, as in
Uh,
tradition of Lost Legacies, now that we are halfway through this show, it's time for my halfway through the show customer survey.
oh God.
So, this is a survey I literally just pulled up online
Hmm.
as we were setting up to record. So, the
Okay.
questions do not exactly pertain to Dark
Sure.
or television shows in general. So I'm
Hmm.
just going to
Hmm.
ask you the question, and I'm sure you're smart enough to make a cohesive answer. So
Thank you for thinking of me that way.
yes, Sam. Question number 1: how satisfied were you with your overall dining experience?
Uh,
Extremely, very,
okay.
somewhat, not very, or not at all.
Wow. Wow. I will say extremely.
Extreme. Okay, that's good to know.
Extremely.
Thank you, sir. Okay. How likely are you to recommend this restaurant to a friend or colleague on a scale of 0 to 10? 10 being the most likely, 0 being not at all likely.
I see. Thank you for that distinction. Easily 10.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Next question. How easy was it to find what you were looking for on the menu? Again, extremely easy, very easy, somewhat easy, not very easy, or not at all easy.
Um, this is interesting because I feel like now we're getting into the pardon my pun, the meat and potatoes
The
of the
meat and
show.
potatoes.
So because it is a mystery, because it is time travel, because it is thriller, like they
Yeah,
don't
what were
want to
you looking
make it
for?
easy for you. Yeah.
Yeah, what were you looking for out of the show?
I was looking for a solid good time. I had an idea that I thought the time travel was gonna be a thing with the show.
Mm-hmm.
Um I didn't know how involved it was gonna be, and it's involved. It's a lot. But I really enjoyed that. It was never a thing that like it was never a thing I hated, you
Right.
know? Like I loved being caught up in the mystery and seeing it all unravel and having those moments where like 3 seconds before they say the thing,
Yeah.
oh, I figured it out, and then they say the thing that I figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Um so I will just say, as far as how easy was it to find things on the menu, I would say, mm, what?
Extremely,
Okay.
very easy,
Hmm.
somewhat easy,
Hmm.
not very easy, or not at all easy.
I would say not very easy.
Not very easy.
It's
Oh,
not.
like you didn't expect it.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, you're what we're talking about. How easy is it to find items on the menu?
Oh,
When
okay.
we're
So you're
talking
talking
about
about like
that in
how
relation to the show, like, we're talking about the plot, like the plot beat. We're talking
so you're
about,
talking about keeping up with everything.
yeah, keeping up with
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I'll say
So
not very easy.
okay, not very easy. Okay, so let me pivot that question then. If it's not a very easy plot to keep up with at all, I'll agree with that. But as far as like your expectations, you
Hmm.
know, and I mean, we all have experience with time travel stories. Like,
Hmm.
what were you expecting from time travel and stuff? Like, how does that rank on your list? Like,
Uh, I like this exceeded my expectations.
mhm,
This does time travel in a way that I think is just unique,
yeah,
you know, and it very much grounds everything, so that it makes the fantastical elements a thing that it should be. It's something that is awe-inspiring and also terrifying, as well as a thing that not everybody can do. You
yeah,
know, it's a thing that has to be learned or suffer the consequences.
right, right.
Like, yeah, yeah, it's almost like this is finding magic is real, and how how incredible and how terrifying that notion is.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, whereas I think a lot of the time travel that we're familiar with, I think, is for the most part a little bit more, um not positive, but just a little more like loosey goosey with the rules,
Hmm.
and uh usually ends on a happy note.
Yeah.
Even if the later, you think about it later, it's like, oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of not a happy ending. Like Back to the Future, it's like, oh, he technically didn't go back to his time, you
Right.
know
Yeah.
but outside of that, it's still an overall good ending because he gets the perfect life.
Right.
uh
Yeah.
so yeah, or like Doctor Who, where like it's still fun, like it's still adventurous,
Hmm.
even if it gets dark, it is still a thing that you can easily follow.
This definitely feels like or not feels like, but it has like its tendrils into the quest genre. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
the
definitely.
whole show's about finding this kid. We need to find this kid, which doesn't really seem like a quest type thing. That's so many murder mystery shows start like that. We need to find this person.
Hmm.
But this one, the way it did it and the way it teased things, and then by the end of episode 2, you realize there's time travel.
Yeah.
So the way they did all of that really kind of set up like this fantasy vibe, or more like sci-fi. But I mean like fantasy as far as like the storytelling conventions go. You
Hmm.
know, it
Hmm.
felt very quest like. We're going into the cave.
Hmm.
Who knows what's going to happen in there? That kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, so and even now we still the cave is still a lot of the cave has been explained and the way the time travel has been explained to a certain degree, but we still have characters exploring it. Katarina's down
Hmm.
there.
Yeah.
Magnus and Martha are just starting what seems like their investigation.
Hmm.
Um,
We even get like the tangentially related story about mazes and mystery from
yeah,
Marta, who
yeah,
has the whole monologue at the play about,
mhm,
the labyrinth and all of it,
yeah.
you know?
It's like it feels like someone who really loves science fiction and really loved fantasy decided to write like a cop drama, a
Yeah.
thriller.
Yeah.
They're like, we're just gonna start adding these elements. You know what it reminds me of? Prisoners.
Yeah.
Danny
Yeah.
Villeneuve, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Prisoners. The way like it always feels like there's just something underneath the surface that you don't really understand.
Yeah.
Something else that is at play. There's a
Yeah.
reason they named the detective Loki. It's just because
Hmm.
things are just a little fantastical.
Yeah.
That's the way dark feels like, even though we're straight up seeing like, oh no, this is straight up science fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. All right. Just real quick, how satisfied are you with the location of the restaurant?
You know,
It's on
uh,
Netflix.
yeah, it's on
Yeah.
Netflix. I could be more satisfied.
Uh,
It could not cost me so much money every
oh,
month.
here we go. How quickly were you seated upon arrival? I want to know how quickly were you like bought in? Did you buy in? Was it the first episode, or did it take the end of episode two to be fully invested? Like,
No, well, because episode one ended where Mikhail sees the newspaper, right?
no, that's two. The first
Is
one
that two?
ends with they find the body. They think it's Mikkel and they realize it's not him.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I mean, here's the thing. I as much as I love like time travel and sci-fi stuff, I do also really enjoy a good murder mystery.
Yeah.
So even if this was a little bit more like Prisoners,
Hmm.
where it's like just teeter-tottering onto the supernatural, the paranormal, the
Yeah.
not wholly of this earth, uh I was still pretty invested. I think
Yeah.
with all just like the setup around it, I was like, this is really good. It's one of the best pilots I've seen.
Right.
So yeah, I think I'd say I was seated
I
fairly
think
quickly on
I
arrival.
think a big part of that is the kids too. Because like if you
Yeah.
just take that first episode on its own and not watch anything else, it's a pretty solid just like not a procedural, but it is a thriller. It's a story we've seen before. Kid goes missing, blah blah
Hmm.
blah. Or actually like we only get that at the end of the episode. You
Hmm.
know, it's really the overall vibes of the town. You know,
Hmm.
I feel kind of like Stephen King, like where you're like something's just not
Yes.
right in the neighborhood.
Yes, it definitely has that like small town
Hmm.
thriller, could potentially go into horror, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, even the way they set up character dynamics, we
hmm
have people who are, there's infidelity,
yeah,
and there's lying and
yeah.
secrets, and oh,
It's
the
like
richest person in town is angry, blah blah
the
blah.
story has just started. Mikkel hasn't
Hmm.
even gone missing yet, but you're meeting all these characters, and you're like already in the back of your head. You're kind of wondering, like, is this a suspect? You know, you don't even know what the crime is yet, but you're like, is this a suspect? You know,
Hmm.
you're just kind of like double glancing at everyone.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, like Jonas, I think is a very good character, and I love the way Lewis Hoffman plays him, and like I think he really draws you in. And then meeting all the friends, all the kids, you know, again, very quest like, very 80s adventures movie. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, you don't usually see that in this genre. You know,
Yeah.
murder mystery, you know, something's going, you don't normally see that. So to have those combined, I think like the kid's story really kind of sell it and gives you something to latch on to.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man, awesome.
I agree.
Um, yeah, there's more questions here, but it's all restaurant stuff. You know, cleanliness. Did the server greet you in a timely and friendly manner? Blah blah blah.
Hmm.
So I think we got the gist of it.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, I'll keep watching it.
Yeah.
I'll at least watch the next episode.
Yeah, at least, right?
Yeah.
uh guys, gals, ooh, excuse me. Guys, gals, all of the above, everyone who's a fan, whoever you may or may not be, or may
Mm.
not yet be,
Or whenever you may
or
be.
whenever you may be, hit us up on Twitter, hashtag Lost Legacies. I want to know how your overall satisfaction of the Dark experience is.
So
Uh,
far.
so far, is it extremely satisfying? Very satisfying, somewhat satisfying, not very satisfying, or not at all satisfying. And you have to answer with
Wow.
one of those choices because if you
Hmm.
don't, the whole survey's invalid and
No,
I have to throw it in the
Nolan.
chest, in the
Yeah,
trash. Yeah,
Null void, and you
null
don't
and
get
void.
this. You don't get this coupon to a
Hmm.
free dessert of your choice.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, so let us know what you thought about this episode. I want to know what everyone's predictions are going into the second half of Dark.
Hmm.
13 episodes left.
Hmm.
So let me know your thoughts, questions, and predictions.
Yeah.
Until then, hit me up on Twitter at _ Matt Jimenez and on Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Real. That's REEL Texas Weirdo.
Until next time,
Going dark.